Good morning, everyone. Today is going to be a VOD review of a Platinum Reinhardt. In fact, he or she is literally right on the brink of Diamond. This is on Eichenwald, and what I'm going to start off by doing is, since this is really close to a Diamond player, I should say a player that's probably been in Diamond and kind of right around this range, is first I have to talk about the team composition. Do what I've done in the past is kind of take a look at, just kind of go through the gameplay, maybe pick out some certain battles and go back through them later on in the stream, but I kind of want to go through the whole stream first, see anything that I see for the first time through, and then kind of take it from there, probably pick 2 or 3 scenes, go back through those in depth. I'll probably upload only the first portion of this, but to start off, the team composition, of course, Azario Reinhardt's a really good composition here. Moira healing. Zen is, I think a little underrated right now. They're going to potentially change his Discord to where it goes from 25% to 30%. I think he's probably pretty good for this map. And then you've got Ashe and Echo. A lot of people playing the new hero Echo. Hopefully the Echo is going to get the healing orb from Zen. So it's going to be this first part here. I think the first and third sections of this map are really good for Reinhardt. The second is a little bit harder for positioning, but we'll kind of see how this plays out. I'm going to check something out on the stream real quick before I get started here, and I'll play this in a few seconds here. Okay, let's get started.
One.
Okay, look, you lost your healers here to start. You probably should be backing off a little bit. So far, it seems like you're using fire strikes. You haven't landed any right now. You're pretty low on your ult charge right now. Yeah, you were saying that you needed healing, but I think you went way too quick still without your Moira there.
My ultimate is almost ready.
With you only having a Zen as your second healer, you really need your Moira to be able to push. You should get really aggressive here. Definitely going to go through this entire first round of attack. It's interesting. Your positioning's been kind of okay. You have not used walls and corners as much as I would have thought. You seem to just really use that shield and it gets busted down pretty quickly. And I like that you're waiting here for your team before you get going here. Now, the Reinhardt has Shatter. You should know this at this point. Good block. There we go. I want to see you get a little bit more aggressive here instead of letting them group back up. You got to get the road on first. Okay, you're getting out in front here. No. You should be pushing the cart here. You need to get out in front, create space for your team. That is not a very good move. You don't have to get wild. You should have been way out in front. I liked your initial position that you had. Yeah, you're really not using corners a lot. You actually had a good shatter. Your shatters have been actually pretty good in terms of you've been able to connect them. You just weren't able to capitalize on it, which is, it happens. You play way out in the middle of the middle way too much. This is a little bit harder to get behind cover here. You're doing a really good job with shield management though, which is kind of surprising how much you're just standing out in the middle of the streets on your first turn. You guys are losing this fight. Hopefully you don't use your ultimate. You should. That was it. I'm also going to break down more of that fight there because I need to get a better feel. What was really interesting is you guys were losing the fight. You already got 2 hits. And it was an even fight, but you had decided to back off there. They used a lot of ultimates there. There's nothing wrong with losing that fight. This second point is very hard for Reinhardt attack because they can get a lot of different angles on you. Yeah, they were really, your shatters are really spot on, but the problem is that one was really hard to follow up on because they were so far away, but your team should have been able to capitalize on it. Yeah, you guys really needed to make sure you took that point there. That would have been awesome if you would have landed that. Oof, that was not a good track, but it's not on you there. Again, one thing I want to see is your positioning from corner to corner. Again, and you're waiting. You should be getting out in front. You shouldn't be standing on the payload. There's that time for the gate to break down, and you don't. It's just wasted time for you to sit in the cart. Should give your team some breathing room to try and get them hit. See, this is where I want to see you backing off. Let your shield recharge. Yeah, you're probably gonna die on this fight right here. Oh man. Yeah, you're gonna have to push at this point. Your earth shatters are. You're able to get some really fast shatters. So I definitely think that you do a really good job with your earth shatters are really good. I'm gonna, for the second time through, I'm gonna pay attention a little bit more to your, I should say not your second time through, but on your defense, see how you use your fire strikes a little bit more. At first they seemed a little spotty, but I think you really started nailing them later on. I just think your positioning with at your corners and kind of your decision making when you should be aggressive with who's dying and who's not seems to be, I think, one of your biggest concerns. It was like when you guys were kind of down a man or two. It was really strange from the standpoint of you should get kind of aggressive because you need to make a play, but you were kind of like this weird passive aggressive kind of waiting, and then when you guys seemed to have kind of turned the tide and it was even, you kind of bailed out. It was, and I think you also did that on the very first attack too. And then definitely with how you're playing kind of like this, you're playing like in between when I would say like walls and openings, and not using the cover to make sure you get your shield back up, and kind of like holding the next spot, getting to the next spot, getting to the next spot. It's this more just like down the middle, and I think you're gonna get punished more often. I think you had a really good Zarya on this, and I think the other Reinhardt was not the best because he wasn't able to get like a lot of earth shatters. So I think you two are like the better tanks, but I think against another Reinhardt and some better tanks, you may get punished a little bit more for some of these positions. You're like way out the middle. Like, you're oddly in the middle of the choke, and then you're between these two walls right here. You either want to hold up against that wall there and be able to swing your hammer. Remember, they got to come to you, or retreat back to this next corner. But your shield's kind of already broken here. And you like playing way out in the middle. And I'm glad that that you're charged in that works. You guys are up one. But yeah, you're playing this middle on defense, so I think it works better for your attacking. You're gonna struggle on defense here. Good charge right there. Yeah, I think as the main tank, you have to work on using the corners way more. I mean, your shield, think about it as it is a resource to allow you to go and use the walls. The walls can block an infinite amount of damage. So again, you're playing out in the middle of the street. You either wanted to go up and stop them from getting to the gate, which is your job as the tank, or hold this corner right here. If they were smart, they would just destroy your shield constantly. Because this is allowing for a weird situation with your... Yeah, you're playing way too... Your positioning is pretty bad.
This is not over.
So on this next point here, this is really hard because there is no real great position with Reinhardt to be right here. I'm just trying to stop him from getting to this second point because he has that spawn advantage. Yeah, there's not a whole heck of a lot that you can do there. I actually do think that you're, I think you're the better player, the better tank in this game. I think definitely two things you need to work on is positioning, decision making. In terms of when to engage and when not to engage. I like that you backed off there. That's kind of a bad spot right now. Holding right up here is great. It's a good melee to stop their progress. Oh, you should punish that Moira right away. That's unfortunate. You give up a lot of space by doing that. I see what you were trying to do. Definitely don't need to work on your earth shatters. Your earth shatters.
They're still fighting me yet.
Again, so this is going slightly in depth. Like when I go back through what I would say a handful of these fights, why here? You can't see anything here. You're in the middle. You're allowing them they can come to you, and then you're out in the middle. It's just a bad spot to be in. What you want to do is actually go up to that wall at the corner, be able to throw fire strikes. See, and then you transition out to the middle. you just give yourself an opportunity. So if your shield breaks, by the time you can rotate out, you're probably always asking for healing because you're always probably low. So that makes you retreat really hard. When you can just duck behind the wall, your Moira can heal you much faster, and you can get your shield up faster. Especially when you're getting into, like, to be honest with you, I could see that you're a good player. You're probably not getting into hardcore diamond because you're not holding the line really well. So now you're backing up because you're in this weird. I think you're wanting to see the whole vantage point of the fight, and you're forcing yourself to retreat. You can't use your hammer that much. Like, you're not able to really get good swings in until it's like too late.
Not give up the fight.
2 seconds, engage.
So it's you're really good in a chaotic fight. You're really good in a chaotic fight. But the problem is you create chaotic fights. You almost want a boring Reinhardt game. Hold corners, don't give up position. I like that you're pressuring here. Again, just duck around the corner. You don't need to be in the middle of the street. You don't need to retreat this far. You were like full health or coalescent. Coalescence is going to get you that at that. I think you tried to counter pin, but again, when you're in the middle like this, and you're asking for healing, you're playing way out in the middle. I know I'm just going to keep saying this and saying this, but that's definitely what you need to work on. I mean, your Earth Shatters are just nasty. Your Earth Shatters are really good. You turn fights because of those. See, you're playing this way out in the middle, in between two corners. So you're in the middle of the road, and then you're in between the two corners. You're literally giving yourself just like no cover, so you're like always forced to retreat, which is giving up space. You should hold corners, then use your shield to retreat back to another corner. I think you're trying to use your shield to allow your team to get kills, and that's not quite what the shield's there for. The shield's there for to allow you to transition the points. Yes, it can give people an opportunity to get kills, but when you get pushed back, the entire team gets pushed back. That was like the only first not connected Earth Shatter. It happens. I Earth Shattered as well as you did. And I think actually, if you're able to win on this point here, or at least hold this point here well, because you're really good in this chaotic type environment. See, again, you should be holding up. You shouldn't be giving them an opportunity to gain this ground. You can always retreat back to this point. You don't have to actually be at this point. And by the way, I think what you were searching for was a Roadhog, which might have been right. But if you're searching for him, you should just go and get him that you should just don't let him dictate when the engagement starts. So,
Victory.
yeah, I mean, for sure, we're gonna go through the first point attack, and then we're gonna go through the kind of second messy battle in on attack as well too. That was really close to the bridge. For those of you that want to hang on, but I'm gonna kind of. What's interesting is what I think you need to work on for sure is your your positioning in the mid fight. Or I should say in the start fight and transitioning. I'm not going to get too much on your pins. I like that you weren't trying to pin a lot, and I think just in general, your pins were fine. I think your fire strikes, so your fire strikes are actually going to be also better when you hold more of these corners. You're not going to feel as rushed, and you can line them up a little bit. And we're going to notice that kind of on the very first attack here. I think your Earth Shatters literally turned the fight, and what I would say is your fighting up close is like, so the one thing that you're probably noticing when you play your games is when you guys have spawn advantage. So your spawn is really close to the point or to the escort. You probably do really, really well, because when it does get to that point where they're pressuring and trying to make sure that they get up there, you're very good at holding what I would say is that like last ditch effort kind of attack. Actually, there is one other thing, and this is something that I'm going to maybe put this point on in a little bit, is your decision making in terms of when you should and shouldn't engage with who's alive and who's dead. And so this first fight here, you lost your Moira, and then you seem to have wanted to keep, I think you engaged a little early here. So now, of course you've got to make it through this bridge. But what you're doing is you're not stopping to establish a point here. So you're stuck in this middle right here, and your shield's almost broke, and you have no Moira. So you're going to get, like, if they really focus your shield right here, you would die so fast. I'm actually surprised you lived as long as you did. I don't know why the enemy team wasn't able to punish you as much as it did. Now, you ducked behind a corner as quickly as you could. And then, so to go back into your fire strike. So, because you don't keep this kind of line of sight around the corner. So, let's see here.
Ready for battle.
I apologize. I pressed the wrong button there. Of course.
Ready for battle.
So, let's see here.
one. Attackers incoming.
So what I'm talking about is holding corners. It's looking here, holding this point here, throwing a fire strike, getting to this next point here, swing, 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 throw a fire strike. You're playing way out here, and then you have to turn around to run back. And then that's where that last point is. If you're just kind of standing here, you can see the field of vision here. You can throw a fire strike. You can look to see, you could duck real quick, get your shield back, wait for your Moira to come back. Then when you're ready to go, you push up here. You can either transition to here, fight here, look at this door, and then try to figure out, do you guys want to go around left side or right side? You could shield, get to this point. You're doing this really hard struggle because you're very good at battling them up close, like you have a lot of skill, and so you're able to mask it by, like, if you're able to pressure, and you've got a good Zarya and Moira, it ends up working out for you. But better teams that see that you're running out here like this are going to just absolutely focus your shield, and then you're going to be naked going into these fights. It's just something that I think you probably have been struggling a little bit with, Reinhardt. But I'm going to go back into first person here. Okay, so now you're pushing in. Your shield is almost gone. Let me get rid of the... So your shield is almost gone. And I actually don't think you have your Moira back yet. So you do have spawn advantage here. But I don't think your Moira has quite come back out of spawn yet. Let me see where she is. Okay. It's your Echo. Where is your Moira? Sorry, it's still good. Yeah, so your Moira still hasn't come out of spawn yet. And you're pressuring. No shield. So definitely the positioning aspect of it, working from spot to spot, but then also your decision making from when your teammates are alive and dead, and especially knowing that you have a Zen as your secondary healer, so you're really not going to get any healing. So you really killed yourself in that fight with not really working with the walls all that well. Okay, so now that you've gotten those 2 kills, you've lost both your healers now. Okay, you're stuck between a rock and a hard place on this. Okay, so that fight wasn't as bad as... the first time through, I did not notice that you had lost both your supports, unfortunately. So you did, backing off was good there. So your decision making there ended up being fine, and you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place because as Reinhardt, you couldn't really do much there. But again, in that first fight, it was... and I want to see how you do the same transitioning through this fight. I think you end up holding up. So, again, you're playing here out in the middle. Got a good fire strike in there. So, I'm going to just kind of show this for the last time, just so you keep going from in the middle of the road, in the middle of the road. And I think you're just trying to make sure you get maximized shielding. And it's just unnecessary. What you should be doing is you can transition over here with your team. You can put your shield up here, making sure they transition, and then get this Roadhog out here. Because you're going up against a Moira Coalescence, and it's just, I think when you keep going up, playing a diamond. So, now here, you should hold here the whole time. Let your teammates push the payload. What you don't want them to do is to touch here, because if they're able to stop before the cart gets to that gate, they can actually slow down progress quite a bit. You shouldn't be needing to go over here. So what advantage are you as Reinhardt getting for your team going back to the cart here? Having one more person on there, having from 3 to 4, doesn't really move it all that much faster. The percentage-wise is minimal. What you really should be doing is creating that space for your team. Like to see you holding here, just at least seeing where their team is. Now, this is pretty aggressive, but holding here. Now, you have to be a little careful with that because you're out on yourself. I don't think that that's necessarily the best position, especially if you have bad comms, because it's good to go here, then you can retreat easily. But hold this. Don't just give them free reign to kind of come up and do whatever they wanted to do. Now, their Reinhardt is kind of shield botting. So, they didn't do anything with it, but again, what you really should be working on is already having that space created. Do not give them that easy position. And now, unfortunately, the kill cam is showing everything red, which this does happen from time to time. But, okay, so now what I want to do is just speed up to the fight that gets close to the bridge here. Kind of talk a little bit about decision making. This looks really chaotic. Let me look at it like this. I think we're getting close to it here. Okay, so you guys get 2 kills here. I'm sorry, they got 3 kills there. Now, you then turn the tide with 2 kills. So, you guys are only down 1 at this point. The colors are getting flip-flopped on the... That's what was throwing me off. So the colors got flip-flopped on the kill feed. So you guys are now, with your Zarya, 3-on-3. And then you lose 2 at that point. And then you kind of left your team up there to kind of die it out. That was, look, it's an even fight at one point. It just seems like you bailed out way too early on your team there. You want to like die quickly on the cart there and try to really swing that fight. I believe that what you should have done is stayed there a little bit longer instead of bailing out so quickly. Okay, so then on your attack, I'm gonna look at the last part of this here, and then that should be
60 seconds.
It's kind of interesting watching this at this speed. Okay, so we're coming up to this next fight here. And what... So again, right here, what you're doing is waiting, excuse me, for the cart. So this goes back to Reinhardt as a frontline main tank needs to create that space for the team. This door breaking down, there's no point in waiting here. If you notice, your team is actually starting to already transition. I'm sorry. The blue and the red coloring, it just really throwing everything out. So you guys got kills, but what you'll see is your team, both of your attackers, start to transition. In fact, both of you and Zarya are waiting. Not sure why you guys are doing that. What you really should be doing is looking to see if you could get up to this corner here. I understand the Reinhardt's already here, but you should get up to this corner here and pressure them. You just kind of waiting here doesn't really create any value sitting back here behind the gate. So your team is trying to punish them, and then eventually you break through. But you could have really maybe even gotten the Reinhardt killed before this next fight. Which, getting the Reinhardt killed there could potentially get you guys to snowball all the way to the end here. Now again, you do. I like that you get up to this really aggressive position. That's perfect. Now, unfortunately, again, with the kill feed, you guys do lose one to start this. But you go really far out. It is, you got to be really careful about getting that far extended, because now once you're around this corner, you're really exposed. And where is like the rest of your team? See, your Moira's needing to push carts, so someone has to. So you have to understand too that people are going to have to push cart. That's why, again, you play right here. You're not giving up that much space. And then if you need to, you can use your shield to reverse. You've like really overcommitted here. Now, you're able to back off. But again, you could have gotten really punished, and now you've retreated all the way back because of your shield management. And you are full health here. So again, you gave up all that space, and you have your Reaper and your Zarya up front.
60 seconds remaining.
They lose their Hanzo, so you should be able to be aggressive there. So again, because of your positioning, I don't think you're getting as many hammer swings on the enemy as much as you should be. You're kind of like forcing an over-aggressive pattern. Your shield is breaking, you have bad positioning, so then you retreat really, really far. Think about it as holding 1 point at a time at each corner as you kind of go up. I really honestly think if you fix the whole not being so exposed out in the open and getting beaten up, kind of trying to transition to these points, I actually think you would really play Reinhardt really well. Because now that's the other thing is too. Now, you don't know that this is going to happen, but with your position right now, you have both support ultimates going on, and you're nowhere in the fight. So again, I'm going to back this up and actually watch. I'm going to watch this fight from your perspective again. Right from when the gate is breaking down. Okay, so you're, again, doing nothing here, doing nothing here. So now someone does need to stay in card. You're pushing way out in front. You need healing, and your Moira's pushing card. So then you retreat pretty far back because you're waiting. You have no shield, so you're stuck here. Okay, so you did get pushed back from Roadhog, so that was, I didn't realize when that happened, so there's not much you can do with that. But, so, that was a poor point, but it still stands that you're needing to kind of hold better lines for your team. But when it gets chaotic like this, you're really nasty. Your timeliness and your shatters are just filthy. So when the fight really breaks down, you notice how good you are. Get to those corners, make sure you have this shield, and then when they come to you or you need to press, you have everything you need, and you can be even better in those chaotic fights. Okay, so, and then if you notice, and you can, of course, run back through this, the defending part, and I think that's why you also struggle on the defense, it's just all the same thing. you're just kind of out in this open. It's even more important because attacking is a little bit more difficult from the standpoint, or I shouldn't say difficult, it's a little bit different in terms of you're not holding those corners for a really, really long time. But you need to press up. On defense, it's even more important because you can just use them, duck behind. They have to come to you. Let them create that chaotic fight. Once they get to you, then you could just do what you do naturally really well, is beat the crap out of them. But what you're doing is you're getting beat up so much in between that transition part that you're not able to really be effective. So really work on holding those corners much better, and then being able to, like, when you can take advantage of it, creating that space for your team. You're needing to do massive attacks and retreats, which is very hard for your team to actually figure out. So feel free to give me any like further comments on this. I'm actually likely going to upload this entire stream instead of just cutting it in parts to YouTube for you to see. Thank you for sending this in. If you do have any further questions, I'd be happy to answer it. Take care, and thanks for the review.